Why does the Swiss company Glencore want Xstrata? We have Andrea here in town, so we thought this would be the perfect time to ask. Our Dow Jones Assistant Managing Editor, Andrea, welcome.
Hi, hello there.
You know, you guys obviously have been keeping a very close eye on this deal. Can you explain to people who might be unfamiliar with it how big a merger we're talking about, how important this is for the commodities industry?
It's massive. I mean, these two companies are titans in their own right. Xstrata is one of the biggest mining companies in the world, so it does all the kind of the producing, digging out the ground side of things. Glencore sells the products, markets it, trades it. It's a familiar name. It listed a couple of years ago, or a year ago, and everyone saw that as a precursor to this deal. It's worth $90 billion. I mean, it's a big
billion dollars. That would be the combined market cap. We're
Yes.
starting to get the details, by the way. They would call the company Glencore Xstrata. Xstrata shareholders would get 2.8 shares of Glencore. There's still a concern, though, that Glencore is not paying up enough to get this deal done.
I think the thought previously was that this would be a takeover by Glencore of Xstrata, and the reason why they couldn't reach any agreement was because Glencore wasn't necessarily prepared to pay the price that Xstrata wanted. Now we've seen this called a merger of equals, but there's still some shareholders, Schroders, Standard Life, small shareholders, but significant, starting to come out and say, hang on a minute, you need to pay more.
And what about from a regulatory perspective? European regulators, and I realize there are regulators around the globe who are going to weigh in on this, but European regulators often balk at these mega mergers.
Right.
Is there a concern that the regulatory process could be a stumbling block to completing this?
The companies are obviously saying what they would always say, no problems whatsoever,
problem.
This is going to be fine. But I think the regulators will take the chance to take a little look at Glencore. It's been seen as a secretive company for years. Whether
It's only been public for a year.
Right, exactly. And I think this is a great opportunity to see what they're going to be doing. I think that you'll see some potential speed issues with how long this might take in certain parts of the world, but one of the biggest problems for them will be if they want to buy things after this. They've said today this is a nice springboard for them for further M&A.
A springboard.
A springboard. Because
the
this
size of what we're talking about.
Yeah,
is
you've
amazing.
got a company that's going to really be in a position to set the market for a lot of critical materials that are linchpins of economic recovery.
Copper, coal, all of these.
And not only that, they've said that they have ambitions now in oil and in the agricultural commodities side. So that might be where they can grow, where they're not going to come into.
What is this ultimately going to mean for the buyer here? Are we going to see the impact right away? Is there a concern, like in the telecom industry, that we're eliminating competition and ultimately raising prices?
No, because I think Glencore doesn't have the overlap on the industrial side. 80% of this company is still going to be industrially, it's made up of mining, and the other 20% is the Glencore part, which is why they've done the deal the way they have in terms of the management. I mean, the thing for me that has really surprised me is who's going to be running this company, and the fact that these two guys who went to school together, who are what we call frenemies, you know, they come up as sparring partners, they're friends, but at the same time they have had their moments. They're going to be working together on the management team, and the biggest shareholder will be the Glencore boss. He's got 9% stake in the company, and he's going to be the deputy. So that, to me, is kind of where there might be some more problems.
Yeah, and what's the time frame going forward? What happens now?
I mean, this is just the firing. They're off the, off the starting line. Yeah, exactly. We're a few days in. It was leaked out last week, so it's not such a shock today. But I think we've still got a long way to go. They're talking about maybe April before the share scheme's out. They think regulatory approval.
And is there a hurry here? I mean, to some degree, people are saying you should have done this deal last fall when Glencore is trading more of a premium to Xstrata.
Yeah.
You know, other people are wondering whether, just as they asked with the Glencore IPO last year, whether this is a sign at the top.
I think that the biggest issue for this in terms of the timing thing is, again, going back to that whole kind of how was the deal going to be structured. And Glencore has clearly said, okay, you're not going to do this, that we're going to take you over. It's going to have to be on a friendlier basis. A merger of equals eliminates a lot of those issues. So whether they should have done it last year is one thing, but could they have done it? Probably not, I think.
Let's shift gears and talk about the UK perspective on what's taking place in Europe. I mean, is the UK going to be drawn into any kind of an effort to help bail out the European nations that are ailing?
I think one of the European strategy has been to kind of nudge and influence from the sidelines. I think they'll still be keen to do that, but one of the things to understand about the British psyche is they do like to bash Europe quite a lot. And I think that the Cameron stance, the tough stance he took back in December, has gone down really well at home. So Are they worried about it? They're going to be, yeah, of course. They're not
Big
happy
trade
that,
partner.
and they're not going to be happy that suddenly their growth prospects, which were fairly, reasonable, not great, have been downgraded again. That they're still worrying about how they're going to be doing going forward. But how much influence they can have, I think they're going to be running around the side because it's
and we'll
tricky.
give the last word to our corporate overlord, Rupert Murdoch, who tweeted the other day, if Britain had joined the euro, it would be an even deeper doo-doo than it is already. Cheap pound compared to a year ago, only thing keeping
That's a technical
the state
term, isn't it?
going. That is a technical term. It sums up the situation there, some of the mentality. Andrea joining us from London. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks.